Hey rock stars, today I'm thrilled to introduce you to Fabled Solutions, an incredible new sponsor revolutionizing custom software development in Canada. Whether you're a business owner with a game-changing idea or a company ready to streamline operations, Fabled Solutions is your go-to partner for creating tailored web and mobile apps. With over a decade of experience, they don't just build apps, they craft solutions that grow with your business. Their secret, a strategic approach that blends deep industry expertise with a commitment to quality. From day one, Fabled Solutions works closely with you to prioritize what matters and deliver a minimum viable product that's functional, impactful, and built to scale. They balance speed with precision, crafting flexible database architectures that save you time and money as you grow. Whether you're automating internal processes or launching a groundbreaking product, Fabled Solutions has helped businesses of all sizes bring hundreds of ideas to life. Proudly Canadian, their commitment to excellence rivals anything you'd find in Silicon Valley. Ready to turn your vision into reality? Visit fabledsolutions.com to learn more about how Fabled Solutions can elevate your business. Fabled Solutions, because great ideas deserve extraordinary execution. Welcome to episode 204 of the Business Development Podcast. And on today's expert guest interview, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome Marcus Chan. I absolutely loved his book, Six Figure Sales Secrets. And today we're talking sales and personal branding in 2025 and beyond. Stick with us. You are not going to want to miss this episode.
The great Mark Cuban once said, "Business happens over years and years. Value is measured in the total upside of a business relationship, not by how much you squeezed out in any one deal." And we couldn't agree more. This is the Business Development Podcast, based in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and broadcasting to the world. You'll get expert business development advice, tips and experiences, and you'll hear interviews with business owners, CEOs, and business development reps. You'll get actionable advice on how to grow business. Brought to you by Capital Business Development, capitalbd.ca. Let's do it. Welcome to the Business Development Podcast. And now your expert host, Kelly Kennedy.
Hello, welcome to episode 204 of the Business Development Podcast, and today's expert guest is Marcus Chan. Marcus is a towering figure in the realm of B2B sales, celebrated for his profound impact on the industry through transformative coaching and training programs. His illustrious career spans over a decade with Fortune 500 companies, marked by an exceptional trajectory that saw him rise through the ranks with unprecedented speed. Achieving an impressive 12 promotions in just 8 years, landing one of the top sales regions, Marcus consistently delivered outstanding results, driving over $700 million in total contract value and surpassing sales quotas with unmatched consistency. Recognized as a Salesforce top sales influencer, Marcus has channeled his experience into founding Venli Consulting Group, where he now dedicates himself to empowering B2B sales teams and startups alike. His mission extends beyond mere metrics. Marcus strives to inspire and equip sales professionals globally to achieve their highest potential, fostering a legacy of excellence and impact in the field of sales. Beyond his professional accomplishments, Marcus Chan is known for his commitment to elevating others and leaving a lasting impression on the sales landscape. His approach blends strategic insight with a genuine passion for mentoring and guiding others towards success. Through his coaching and thought leadership, Marcus continues to shape the future of B2B sales, embodying a relentless drive for excellence and a profound dedication to empowering individuals to thrive in their careers. Marcus, it's an honor to have you on the show today.
Hey, I'm pumped to be here. That's the first time someone called me towering. So I appreciate that. My towering 5 foot 7.5 inch figure. But I all jokes aside, I'm excited to be here, and I think we'll have some fun today.
Oh, I think so too, dude. I love having sales experts on because, at the end of the day, business development and sales are very closely aligned. In a lot of ways, a lot of people think they're the same thing. And in some ways they are. In some ways they are, but in a lot of ways they aren't. But I don't position myself as a sales expert, right? I really do position myself in that like lead generation. Here's how you build relationships. Here's how you establish them. And here's how we lead it to next steps. But you, sir, are next steps.
Perfect combination there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How did you end up on this field? I know you've been doing sales a long time, but who is Marcus Chan? How did you end up on this journey?
It's interesting because, I would never say, I never believe that someone's a born salesperson. I definitely was not that, So, I grew up, in small town Springfield, Oregon, working in my parents' restaurant. So kind of growing up, even as a kid, I thought maybe I'd just probably go in the restaurant business. Really didn't know what I was going to do. Didn't know I was going to go to college for, et cetera. Ended up going to college, ended up with a double major in marketing and Chinese, but still didn't know what I want to do after that.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, well, my first step was a B2B sales job. And to me, I saw it as more of a stepping stone at the time, which was, hey, I'm going to go into this opportunity, learn about skills, learn about business development, learn about building a territory from scratch, help build a startup division up. And we'll see where it goes. And hopefully I can lead people. Maybe I could be managing an operation, because of my background working in the restaurant, it's more operational based. I'm like, maybe that's what I'll end up doing anyways, right?
Yeah.
In the business to business side. And what was really interesting was when I dove into sales for the first time, I thought I'd be decent at it just because, we talked about this before. I thought you just needed hard work. You needed grit. You need a smile on your face. You just kind of smile down, kind of push forward, and it'll make you successful. And because of my past of working in a restaurant as a kid, I'm like, I work super hard. I'll probably be pretty good at this, I think.
Yeah.
And I almost got fired in my first 2 months because it turns out that wasn't enough, frankly, right? There's also requires other skills as well. So that was interesting. And eventually figured it out, had success, got promoted, et cetera. But as I went through my journey, I didn't realize how much I enjoyed and loved it until almost a decade later. And this was, I was almost 30 and I just got promoted to a leadership role where I was running a sales org of 85 employees. And a lot of people were saying, hey, Marcus, how did you do this? I'm like, do what? They're like, how did you get promoted so many times? How did you have this consistent track record? How did you even hit and exceed your number literally every year, even through the last recession? And I'm like, well, I think I just kind of work hard, whatever. And they're like, well, Marcus, you should write a book. At the time, I didn't have a book now, but at the time I didn't have a book. And I was like, no, I don't know how to write a book. This is 2015, 2016. But I was like, what I'll do is I'll write an ebook.
Yeah.
I'll write an ebook on how I got promoted. I call it 10 times in 10 years because it sounded better than 12 times in 8 years. It wasn't as smooth. And I'm like, how to get promoted 10 times in 10 years? It's kind of flow, kind of this 10x mentality, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people bought that ebook and people loved it. And that was really interesting. And this is actually my first experience of having an impact outside of just the main company I was at. Because at this point, even with the big org, what I absolutely love, I love closing deals. I love being the product. I love every part of the sales process. But what I really enjoyed the most was actually helping my teams crush it. So bringing past versions of me into the company, helping train, develop them, and make them really, really great. And I loved doing that at my company. And now this ebook was an example of being able to do it even beyond my company, which is kind of cool, right? So eventually kind of spiral off over time. And that eventually that little side hustle, I added more products on, I basically expanded out. I did for another 4 or 5 years, kept having success in my corporate career, and decided at that point, it was time for me to go bigger, right? To help more people. Because it got to the point where I'm like, I love my company, I love all these things, but I want to have a real impact. I want to help other people.
Yeah.
And that was where I dove head into my business, almost 5 years ago. And it's been an incredible journey now, just helping, sales teams and sales reps absolutely crush it in sales and just achieve stuff that they've never thought possible before. So that's how I kind of dove into it. And that's why I'm still doing it to this day.
That's amazing, dude. I look at your story and I got into business development running from sales, which is really ironic.
I don't want to do that. It'll be easier to do.
Yeah, well, just like you, I'd been in sales from honestly 18 all the way to my early 20s, and I kind of hit a wall. I'd gotten let go. We were in a tough time in Canada. And I'd gotten let go from a position. I was like, what am I going to do? And my sister's like, Kelly, like, just go to college. Like, just go to, what are you doing? Go to college. And so I did. And I went to business school and I got a diploma in business admin. And my thought was, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to get a diploma in business admin and I'm going to go work operations somewhere because I don't want to do sales anymore.
Right.
Well, about 6 months into that job, I was working business development. I remember I had to Google what is business development because I'd never even come across it in college.
Right.
And it was really interesting, dude. And the rest is history. But yeah, I had a love-hate relationship with sales and business development for a long time, just like you. I think I really found my passion for it probably 8 to 10 years in where I was like, this is what I am meant to do. Like, I actually love this. But it took a while for me to get there. It took a while for me to understand. Like, I just finished Six Figure Sales Secrets, which is your book. And we're going to talk about it, during the show. And I love the book, dude. It's very well written. And I would recommend it to anybody who has to grow a business or who has to sell on their own behalf or on behalf of another company. It's an amazing book. Congratulations, because you wrote it in a way that I can really get behind. I think a lot of books nowadays that I'm seeing, people are really trying to push the digital marketing. They're trying to push that like passive side. And really what it's doing is it's just preying on people because me and you 100%. Both know getting in front of people is what's going to sell, not just endless inbound. Like 80%, 90% needs to be on that active marketing process.
100%. Because if you only rely just on inbound, you have to succumb to the pressures of just the market, right? It's the market fluctuations, et cetera, external things that you can't control. But outbound, you can always control.
Yeah, and we need to focus more of our time on things that we can control, right? Like, who wants to be completely out of control over your future, right?
100%.
Marcus, I want to chat about your top 5 rules to social selling. That was a part of the book that I found really interesting. And especially in a world now where we're all learning, how do we even use socials to sell, right? Can you walk me through your top 5 rules to social selling?
It's funny. I think I probably had to trim it down because I don't remember even the top 5 off the top of my head now because at the time, I think I had way more.
Yeah,
and then my editor's like, that's too many. You're gonna trim it down. Right? So I'll walk through at least at the time of this recording right now. I'll talk about some of my favorite top ones for social selling, right? And it might pivot a little bit from the book, but it'll still be very, very relevant. So I think the first piece is for social selling, it's a must. Like, I think especially in today's time, you take a look at any of the Gartner stats, but majority of businesses, if they're looking at any type of vendor, they're going to do so much research on you far in advance.
Yeah.
So before you if you are not online, people can't find you when they Google you on any of the platforms, you're actually at a disadvantage versus somebody else who's already there, right? Especially if it's like social media. I mean, it's basically free advertising if you do it right. Okay. Yeah. Now, the second, I'll say a key rule to social selling is it should be like, I call it the 90-10 rule, which is like, it should be like 90% pure value, 10% ask.
Yeah.
So the mistake I see some people make is they say, oh, Marcus, it makes sense. I should be everywhere. I should be on Instagram, TikTok, I should be on X, I should be on whatever. So they go on there and all they do is just promote. Now, aside from like a promotional campaign that you might be running, the rest of the time, like 90% of the time should be, how can I add value to my target market? How can I give them so much value that they basically, they're like, wow, I feel guilty consuming this company, this person's content that like whenever they make me an offer, I'm going to say yes, right? Like the saying goes, like, make the free stuff so good it's better than your competitors' paid stuff. So I think it's having that mind space is really, really important as part of that social selling strategy to be doing that level of output. Because what's really powerful about this is if we talk about the outbound piece, number one, when you post this way, you'll get inbound leads. But let's just say, for example, you do outbound, they don't answer your call, they don't read your emails, you hit them up on LinkedIn, but they still don't respond, but they check you out now.
Yeah.
And they see your content that's consistent, that's high value and actually useful and relevant, that actually will nurture them like a salesperson for you. So that's really, really powerful. But if it's only just pitches nonstop, hey, look at this demo of my product, look how amazing we are, here's just more testimonials, that's not good. Now, over time, you can go from like a 90-10 to maybe like 80-20, right? but still consistently, how can you add more value? So I think it's definitely number two. It's like, how can you add a lot of value for 90% value, 10% like the pitch, right? I would say number three is you want to utilize social selling for like inbound and outbound. So I think it's really, really powerful. I mentioned the inbound already, which is you're posting content up and your high value, but also using tools like, for example, like LinkedIn is probably one of my favorite tools, especially for B2B, like LinkedIn Sales Navigator, right? Yeah. And there's no promo. We don't get paid for it for LinkedIn Sales Navigator, but the way you can target people and build a hyper targeted list, right? And then you can like reach out. There's triggers on there you can see for buy intent or at least like what they're into. Being able to utilize that is like really, really, really powerful as part of that strategy too.
Well, you know what? I think like, for instance, for me, I've been using social selling pretty hard for the last, say, 5 years. Yep. But before that, I wasn't using it at all. Sure. And so I think we're all still learning. And like post-COVID, especially, COVID was kind of, for me, the big shift where it's like, okay, LinkedIn is really critical. We need to start utilizing it. And for me, it was a learning experience. And I would say I'm still learning every day.
Yeah. A few other things I would say as well. This is at least a key basic is you want to, every profile page of any platform is designed to be a sales page. All right. And what I mean by sales pages is it should be designed to build trust, credibility, and potentially convert them into a lead or even an opportunity, right? So I think it's going to be a really big one where I see a lot of people miss the boat on this, which is you get on there, like their banner, for example, on LinkedIn is just like some motivational quote versus being really clear about what you do or credibility or what to do next, right? Sure. As you kind of like scroll through, they have it written kind of like a resume, and depending on what you do, then maybe that makes sense. But for most people, it doesn't make sense versus like, hey, how can you help people? What are some results people have achieved, right? What are some resources, and then redirect them to places that's going to really be also useful for them too. I think is also going to be very, very powerful. So to your website, to free resources, stuff like that is going to be very, very powerful. But having every page do the same thing is very key because when it's highly optimized, then if you do an outbound, they're going to check out your profile. And hopefully they'll convert them or at least make them open to conversation. Or if it's your content, that's going to lead to them, checking out your profile. Yeah. Again, they might go into, they might opt in, they might reach out, they might do whatever, right? I'll say that the next tip as well is in terms of social selling is if you are consistent, I'll say be consistent. If you're going to be posting content, be really consistent. So like, doesn't mean you have to like post like 10 times a day, but be consistent with it, whatever the cadence you're going to choose. If you're like a business owner, like I'm really busy, like, okay, like I'm going to like post like, once a month. Well, that's probably not going to hack it, right? Yeah. So you have to also view it as an investment in your time for generating future opportunities, right? So getting on a consistent cadence of say, even if it's like once a day consistently, right? And if you're thinking about how can I create content, can you share a story about, which problems your customers are running into? Can you record a quick video? Or if you do a long form video, can you repurpose conversation? So there's many ways to kind of create content as part of it, right? But the key is obviously being really, really consistent with it. Okay. Yeah. And then I'll say the fifth one, especially this will help with inbound and outbound, is you want to maximize your content, right? So for instance, a lot of times when people start posting content out there, they'll have people like, comment, engage on their post. Yeah. They'll be able to check out their profiles, but most people are not reaching out to those people. So if you post, let's say, for example, if you sell, let's say you sell like a customer support ticketing software, right? For a company like Zendesk, right? And you post just like a really powerful, testimonial or, easy ways to reduce your customer churn, 5 ways to reduce customer churn as a powerful post. And you get all these people that's your target market, like liking and commenting, engaging on it. Well, those are opportunities for you to go and comment back, but also engage, send them a message, right? Or you have the people who kind of lurk, in which they don't necessarily, they see the post, they know it's useful, but they just don't want to like it. They don't want to comment. Yeah. But they'll check out your profile, like, that's interesting. Yeah. I like what Kelly's all about. Now, fully maximize that by then, going to Kelly, reach out to Kelly. Hey, Kelly, sorry, check out my profile. Anything I can help support you with. Even something like that, it just opens up a conversation, right? Yeah. Which goes on that same point. You don't want to be pitching there. You're just going to open the conversation up. And then in the DMs, should be a conversational. It should be seeing what they're all about. You have questions for them. And so you can open up to an actual live conversation on the phone or on Zoom.
That's amazing, dude. Like, even I haven't been following that. That's a really smart way, right? Like, I guess for me, it's like I've always engaged with people who would comment or who would message me. But yeah, obviously we get checked out all the time, but I haven't really taken the time to mess. I'm going to start doing that. That's a great tip.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it works super well. And same thing also of like, I mean, if you have Sales Navigator, you can take a look at, I mean, some of the lowest hanging fruit are people that follow your company page or just check out your profile. And you can build specific lists for that. So every single day you're going there and you're engaging with those people as part of it. And that's really powerful. But it kind of ties in the whole ecosystem we talked about where, you have a well-optimized page, you're consistent with your content, and that's ultimately going to help as well.
I love that. Let's spend some time on the pages because I think this is something that unless you're Marcus Chan, we don't quite understand how to make the best pages. I think I've done as good as I can, although I've seen better and I'm always looking to upgrade. Like I'm never good with just where I'm at. Like we reevaluate everything all the time and we make updates and we're getting better every day. But I am by no means the best page on LinkedIn. Talk to me. What are the best things that we need to make sure are on all of our LinkedIn pages when we're doing any type of social selling?
So I think the first piece is I'm always thinking like, okay, what's the first impression you're going to have when they check you out, right? So let's just say, for example, if they go and let's say they, you cold message them, right, on Sales Navigator. So the first thing they're going to do, they're going to click on your headshot and go to your profile. So the first thing they're going to see is your headshot. So as simple as that sounds, but does your headshot align to the image that person's expecting out of a trusted advisor, out of a professional? And I think a lot of people overcomplicate this, or they use like they just got married, they just got their wedding photos up there, right? But like just taking your phone, putting it in portrait mode, having someone take it with good lighting can make the world of difference for you, right? Even like my headshot is literally me at home. My wife took the photo. Yeah. And then I put in Canva, I put the yellow background and blue ring, and that's it. That's all we did, right?
It's a great photo.
Super simple, right? It's like, and also it's like, it's so simple. Most just don't even do that. So get your headshot dialed. All right. So headshot dialed, looks professional, matches the image. And again, I think it's really important because let's say, for example, if you're wearing like a suit and tie in your photo, but most of your prospects are just not really like the shirt and tie type, don't have that. Yeah. Maybe wear a polo, maybe just wear a button up, right? Maybe wear something in between, right? Yeah. Like for me, I sell to even corporations or maybe more suit and tie. So like, the t-shirt and jeans company, right? So mine's like in between. I'm like, okay, the best way, I'll just do suit, no tie. Like that kind of is not a bridge in between. It's not perfect. It is what it is, right? Yeah. Stuff like that, right? Then, so that's the first piece. The second piece is also, what's your tagline? So your tagline is basically what's going to show up. So if you are, say, commenting somewhere, they're going to see it. It's going to say your name and basically what's the tagline say below it. And you can make it very simple, which could be like, we help target market achieve this. It can be as simple as that, right? Which is very, very easy, right? Then you can add some other credibility if you want to, right? So some people want to go super simple. That's all they say. Hey, I help companies do this. I help CFOs do this. I help CXOs do this, which is totally fine. If you want to add more credibility, you can add more credibility, right? That's totally fine. But that's also really important too. So now, let's say, for example, they click on your page, they're checking your profile now. What's your banner look like? So the banner by itself is it basically they may not. This is what's called above the fold. So they may not scroll below this. Okay, they might just literally stay there. So if they stay there, is that going to be something that's going to be when they see it? Will that person say this is of high value for me? So for example, like even on mine, I'm pretty clear on what we do. Right, we help sales teams and reps, like basically blow their numbers out. And I'll change the wording depending on whatever, but it's always basically the same stuff, right? I have some credibility on where I've been featured, right? And then I have a little CTA, which is like, head to the featured section. Yeah, that's it. Very simple. So same concept. You just basically they get is this person for me? Can I trust this person? And then they start scrolling down. There's a couple of things just make it easy, but like link to things that you're going to want them to click on. So, there's little links you can add in there, whether you want them to opt into a lead magnet or just head to your website or check out case studies or testimonials, whatever. You can easily link that, right? And then if they decide to keep scrolling down, if they decide to, right, then you can have the about section. And the about section, again, is an opportunity to be some sales copy there. So some people just post in there what they do, which is totally fine. Yeah. But if you can write a little story in terms of story, that's really powerful. So I do a combination of a little bit of story and then also like some CTA as well and how we can help. Okay. And then there's going to be the request services section. So if you're running your own business, you want to fill it out. Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
And how do you serve them? Make it very easy for them to just reach out if they want to. And then you keep going down, and then it's going to be your history. So, your job history is definitely important for sure as well. Like if you have your own business, that's your opportunity to write more about your business, include links to whatever you want, right? Some people leave completely blank, but again, this is just if they want to. If someone want to keep scrolling, we'll help convert them and build trust with you. So I write what we do, and I share examples of how we help people, right? And they want to keep scrolling down. They can see the past history as well. So I'm in the coaching consulting space. So a lot of people want to know, like, did this person actually do what they're trying to coach and consult people on?
Yeah.
So I have my work history on there that elaborates on my results intentionally. Yeah. So I don't share what I did, like in terms of like my like I manage a team of this people. This is what I read reports like this. I analyze this. I'm like, here's results, and then I back it all up with proof. Yeah. I show like screenshots, attachments, etc., so people can keep going down. So again, like if they happen to look down there, it's gonna hopefully they're gonna be like, this person knows what they're all about. And then if they keep going, all right, it's gonna be the testimonial, the recommendation section.
Yeah.
So having that I think is also really key too. Like, I don't remember how many we have now. I think we have like 70 or 80. But It's like, but I've been getting those since like, I don't know, 2009.
Sure.
So like getting it consistently over time is really powerful as well. Because again, if they were just to stay on that single page, it's going to hopefully get them to like convert into a lead or to reach out or be more open to conversation. So it takes a little time to get it all set up, but that's really key. And then of course, if you're doing content consistently, that's also going to be a section they might check as well on LinkedIn too.
Wow. Okay. So it's all in alignment. So you 100%. Want everything, you don't want anything to feel out of place. You want it all to tell the story. And the story is that you're awesome.
You want to remove any type of doubt in their mind, right? Or at least open them up to be a little more open. Because the thing is what people don't realize is if you structure your page right, it's going to be one of your top SEO ranked pages. So if someone Googles your name or company, it's going to link that LinkedIn page is going to be one of the top ones that's going to show up.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we're talking obviously to a lot of entrepreneurs and maybe a lot of coaches actually, which is kind of what I think we aligned here. Sure. Yeah. How does this apply to say, a regular salesperson or a regular business development person?
Really good question. So I think if you've been around for any period of time, we've all have had bad experiences with salespeople, like some way, shape, or form. So unfortunately, the bar is really, really low, and people we get looked down upon as sales professionals, right? So this is an opportunity if you're a sales professional. It's like, okay, if I'm going to reach out to them, how can I position myself as a trusted advisor, someone, even if I'm new with the company, someone who actually knows what they're all about. So this becomes an opportunity for you now to do the same thing I just mentioned. So if you do outreach or if someone checks you out, that you're going to be able to hopefully convert as well. It's the same type of concept, but now instead of just doing it for yourself, it's for your company as well. But I think the mistake a lot of people make is all they do is when they get a new job, they just change where they work, and then it's kind of left as like just a job history. Yeah. Like, oh, I was a BDR here. Here's how many calls I'm. Here's how many appointments I booked. Here I was here. Now, if you're trying to get a new job, you're basically optimizing for that. That's fine. But if you're looking to convert customers, how can you optimize for that? So maybe if it's give some people examples that are watching this, like for your current company, you could write who you help and how do you help them, and link out to case studies or testimonials or examples or any opt-ins that might be useful, right? Or if you close clients, like share who you've helped. If it's your past companies, you can just share about like the results that you got that helped customers. So instead of saying, hey, I booked X number of meetings, it's like, hey, who are some clients you served? So again, this way you're focused on them to say, hey, I'm a credible professional who's out there to help other people, not just to close people.
You have to change your thought process. Instead of trying to job shop, essentially, you need to customer shop. You need to speak to the customer. That's what you're trying to do.
100%. Like what's on their mind, right? And your goal is you want to just minimize that friction. So this way they see this guy's actually like this guy or gal is actually legitimate. I'll entertain a conversation with them and I'll help them out. And this is actually why the content can be really powerful, because if you're consistently posting useful content, even if you're pretty new to the industry or new to the company, they're like, actually, that was a pretty interesting post that they posted about, XYZ, about the CX experience or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah. Let's talk about content. I know we kind of got into it. Obviously, you didn't get to where you're at without a pretty impressive content strategy. Sure. Can you tell us a little bit about your content strategy, Marcus?
Yeah. So I'll say what I do now is a little different than what I used to do, right? Because, typically we pump out over 100 pieces of content every single month.
Wow.
Hits like all the channels. So it's a little bit different now, because now I have a team of people. I got staff to help me. It's a little bit different. When I got started, it was just me and only me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to kind of share from that perspective how to really kind of get started, because I think that's the hardest part. So I think the first piece is, you always want to have like an idea bucket. So meaning like you'll get different ideas about like, what customers talk about. It could be in sales conversations. It could be just in talking with friends. It could be in reading books in the industry. It could be reading other posts. You want a place where you kind of dump your ideas. Okay, that's the first piece. So even to this day, I still do the same thing. I have an idea area. I use ClickUp as a software. I throw all the ideas inside there, right? And then from there, I basically organize it into like what I'm going to create for when. So, in the process that really hasn't changed now in 5 years, but like literally on the 20th of each month, I literally will just map out the next month's content, like what the topic's going to be for each day. So then from there, every single week, I'll create the content. And because I've been doing it for so long now, I've also learned how important it is to get ahead. So I used to just wake up, okay, here's this idea.
Yeah.
I'll try to create the idea on the spot, which is very hard, by the way, which is like, it's not fun to do that at all. So I realized I can create better content when I'm less pressured.
Yeah.
So I got to the point where at the very minimum, I'm 2 weeks completely written out. So meaning like today and 2 weeks after today, I've already written all the content. I've already created all the content. So I'm good to go. So that way each week, if I have my content day, which is usually Tuesday, then I just got to wake up and I got to create content for basically 3 weeks out. And as long as I'm really consistent with that, then it just multiplies over time. So now I think I'm like 3 or 4 weeks out, right? Consistently. So it makes it much easier, right? But then from a content perspective, like what I used to do is I would create the content and then I would basically schedule it to post on LinkedIn or whatever platform. And that's how it was, right? Pretty simple. Now my workflow is a little bit different, but that's kind of like the high level of it now. Because now it's a little bit different where we have so much long form content and we have more repurposed content.
Yeah.
It's become a little bit easier over time. So my strategy kind of pivot. So now what I do now as a kind of a pivot. So if you're at stage 1, trying to get started, that's kind of how I did it, right? Just being consistent is the key. And stage 2 is like put some systems in place. So for example, now that how the strategy works is every week I'll create one pillar piece of content. So this is like a 30-minute to 60-minute long form video on YouTube. Super high value, super tactical. That same video is then turned into a carousel and then turned into like multiple posts. The video clip is cut into like 8 to 10 different clips as well.
Yep.
So that single piece of pillar content can now turn into 10, 20, 30 pieces of content. That happens every single week, right? And then the rest of those pieces get dispersed all throughout the content calendar. And then we'll still have other ones we create as well as part of it, right? But then also on top of that, they'll typically take a look at like content from the last 3 months, find the best performing ones, repurpose it and reuse it in a different way for the future too. So because it's ongoing in the system, like we just have so much content now where it makes it much easier for the creation process, because now the flywheel's in motion, we just got to keep it in motion. It's all we got to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, obviously I'm getting better and better and better. Like I started this show, by the time this show airs, it'll be out for a little over 2 years. So this particular show has been, we've been at it, right? And we've been consistent, and consistency over time breeds success. I've known that forever since I've been in business development. So we took that to the podcast. We haven't missed a single episode. We've been just flying through. Yeah. We do 2 episodes a week. But the content strategy was something that I didn't have a lot of background in. Like you would think I get it, business development, I should have a ton. But like reality is I used socials in the way that I needed to use them. And it wasn't until I really started the show that I felt like, okay, I need to start to learn how do you repurpose content? How do you use all this stuff? And I am by no means a pro. I'm getting better all the time. But we use things like Opus Clips. We use Canva to create a whole lot of posts. But what are some of the programs that you're using to kind of help make your life easier? Because you and me both know content creation is a monster.
So I think if the first piece is actually the who, right? Is hiring the right people in play that can make it so much easier. So like we use Opus Clip, we use Canva, we use all the same type of tools, but like from a workflow perspective, I'll kind of walk through the workflow, but it makes it a little bit easier. You can kind of see it. So I have my content day. So we manage everything within a project management software called ClickUp. There's many tools out there. Notion's great, Trello's great. They all work some way, shape, or form. So it's all managed within ClickUp for us. So I create the content that's scheduled on a certain day. We have different stages for it. So my EA knows once I put it into pre-approval, it gets sent to her.
Yeah.
So this way, it's like whatever it's going to be, right? If it's like if it's a short form video, whatever it's going to be, or if it's a carousel, whatever, I write the content, I create the content, I put it into pre-approval, gets sent over to her. She'll review my work. Because sometimes it just like there's errors, there's grammatical errors, or I'll change the tense I'm talking, right? So she'll kind of adjust a little bit. And if it's just like a text only post or a text and image only post, she'll then send over to one of the content schedulers. The content schedule will then schedule onto whatever platform is going to be, right? So pretty easy. If it's like a carousel, that same person wants you to create the carousel. Then there's an approval process back and forth. It has to look a certain way.
Yeah.
So my EA will work with the content scheduler and creator of the content of the Canva doc and go back and forth until it's nails.
Yeah.
Right. Once it's nails, she gets a thumbs up. That gets scheduled again into the platforms, right? And it gets marked accordingly in ClickUp. If it's a video, if it's a short form video, we have a short form editor. So same principle, like video gets done, little clip gets done, or if it's a repurposed clip, I'll write the copy for everything and then send it over to my EA. She double checks everything. She'll then upload to Descript, and then from Descript, it'll get sent over to the short form editor, who then actually will create the reel.
Yeah,
and then she'll work with them approving that piece of reel. And then once that's good, goes back to the content scheduler, who then schedules it on the right platform. And then if it's a long form video like YouTube, it's like 30 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, whatever. We have a different person for that.
Yeah.
So my EA will first put it through Descript, review everything, just kind of clean it up a little bit. Because sometimes if it's like a long form video for 60 minutes, she'll be like, all right, we could probably, like, Marcus messed up these 100 different times. Let's just cut these parts out already. And the Descript.
Descript is amazing.
Exactly. And then send it right over to the long form editor.
Yeah.
Then they'll go back and forth to basically approve it. So like now the process is a little bit simpler because, I create it, I pass it to my team to take care of everything else.
Yes.
And then they'll use Opus Clip, they'll use Adobe Premiere Pro, they'll use Canva, they use this other tool, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a plugin into Adobe where it helps do jump cutting for you automatically. So it saves a lot of time. I don't know what it's called. It's like a plugin for that. And I think my short form guy, I think he uses CapCut. I'm not even sure.
Yeah, like
I think he just uses
for those
CapCut.
of you listening, this is the mess of having to create content these days.
Yeah.
We're using like 5 to 6 programs to create content. And yes, we're all doing this. It's bonkers. Yeah. Someone needs to come along and make one program to rule them all.
And make it easy to use. Not like there should be no learning curve. You know? Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude. It's like I got into this and I didn't know how to use any of that stuff. Yeah. And it's been like, holy cow. The amount I've learned in 2 years has been absolutely next level. But at the same time,
even like figuring out the workflow, like, all right, the workflow, it takes a while to figure out. Then it's like, what tool should I use? Kind of make it easier. It's this whole thing,
Yeah. But trust me, guys, if I can learn it, anybody can learn it. Like I'm not technically deficient by any means, but these are all things that I had to learn from Square Zero, including Adobe Audition, which is what we use to record this show, and Riverside, which is what we're talking on right now. Yeah, man, I had no idea. Like the longer I go down this road, I'm like, my God, do I really need another program?
I know. I'm always like, what can I cut? Like, are we even using this? Like,
that's the problem, right? It's like everything is trying to do everything, but it only does the one thing that it does really great, and it half-asses the other thing. So you still need. It's like even if Descript and Riverside put out transcripts, Descript's transcripts are still better.
No,
right?
Sometimes you just need the best tool for the job. It is what it is.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, dude. But you know what? I love this. Like, I love doing this podcast. I've learned to love content creation. So it's like, I hated it. And then I got better and better and better at it. Now I actually really enjoy the creative process of content creation. And Yeah, if you're not doing it right now, I don't want to discourage you. I know this sounds a little scary. We've talked about a lot of different programs, but just start with one.
Yeah.
Just start with one. Like, do something. Doing anything is better than doing nothing.
Yeah. I would say like lean into your strengths, right? So like for me, video is easier for me, but the issue I actually had with video earlier on was because the editing piece, I didn't know how to do the editing. So I didn't really start with that. So I started with like text. I'm like, I'm a pretty good writer. I'm like, I'll start with writing first.
Yeah.
So like, ideally pick whatever you're naturally better at, start with that first.
Yeah. Yeah. You do a lot of personal video. And, I wanted to chat with you about that because that's something that, we're looking at on our side too. Honestly, my introvertedness has kept me away from video, to be honest. Yeah. I love podcasts. I love talking, but honestly, I've never really felt comfortable in front of a camera. I just never have. What was it that led you to that? How were you able to build up the confidence to really start to put yourself out there in front of a camera?
Well, I appreciate you saying that because if I look at my videos, when I first started doing videos like this, or even just teaching something, it's probably been 9 years since I started.
Wow.
And when I take a look back in those videos, super awkward, like very stiff. Sound quality was terrible. I didn't know anything about lighting or cameras or even acoustics or any of that type of jazz to make a good video. And they just weren't good videos, like just very, very awkward. That's what I found. But here's the thing. I just first started doing it and I just kept doing it more and more. And then over time, I started to realize I'm like, this is actually useful for a skill for me to learn. And I got better over time by simply doing it, right? So I basically had to embrace the suck. That's what it broke down to. And that's what it was. It's just like putting myself out there because I'm naturally more introverted. Actually, I'm a tested ambivert now, but doing videos, I just hate the way I looked. I hate the way I looked, hate the way I sounded, and just didn't like it. Now it's like let me back up a little bit because I kept doing videos. I did like once a week. It was what I did a video, like once a week video. And it was only to my website. So like it got like no traffic at the time. And then it was 2019. I'm like, I'm gonna start posting on social.
Yeah.
Like once a week. Right. And just like committing to that. So I started like a micro commitment and I'm like, okay, 1 minute video, record about something and just do it. Again, not very good. Not very good. And then I kept doing it and then got to 2 videos a week. Right. And then what was interesting was this is early in my business was getting started. I started getting invited to a lot of podcasts because of my social media content.
Yeah.
And I was still only doing like 1 video a week still at the time, I remember. But I was getting all these podcast interviews and that actually was a really good way for me to practice. So it kind of forced me to like get good on having a conversation like via like just like an interview style that I could repurpose. So that also made me better as well.
Yeah.
And then that allowed me to cut into micro clips, which is useful. And then I just kept doing it. Like I just kept doing it. And I kept just like watching people who look way better than me. I'm like, how do they do such a good job? And also what I found too was even with video, man, like editing makes a big difference.
Yes.
So like being able to like have someone who actually know what they're doing for editing could take an okay video that I recorded and make it look much better by cutting out my errors and whatever thing they stumble over. So that was like big for sure.
Yeah. And
then long form videos, I started getting long form was still uncomfortable for me.
Sure.
That's what it was. Long form, like, cause once I got the short form dialed, this is like, so you picture now, this is 2022 now. So this is me 6 years into my trying to create video journey. Right? Yeah. So like, it wasn't like overnight.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm pretty bullish on YouTube, but man, I got to do these YouTube videos. Like it's kind of a long video. Like I got to do at least a 10, 15 minute, 20 minute video. Like I have no problem presenting live in front of people, but there's something about just like looking to a camera by myself and doing something very daunting for that long of a time. So then I'm like, okay, what could I do to make it easier for myself? I'm like, well, you know what? I could script the video. So I started to script the videos out.
Yep.
So I'll write the whole script out, got a teleprompter, started doing that. And that was like, that really helped a lot, quite a bit. So I got used to it. And then I made a commitment where I'm like, I'm going to do like 1 a week. So that was like 2022, I think. Yeah, 2022. 1 a week. So then from there, for the most part, literally up until probably a year ago, every video is scripted out. Like I was scripted from start to finish.
Like the whole thing? Like you didn't ad hoc anything?
I didn't ad hoc anything.
Wow.
Right?
That's harder. That's much harder. Like people don't realize that. People think that scripts are easy. They are not.
Not at all. So like, I would literally script everything out. So so the first, but I have the practice, and so it sounded natural.
Yes.
Right. So like you can't just like read off the script. You have to sound natural. So I started practicing it. So I got really, really comfortable with that. And then about a year ago, I'm like, well, first of all, this is taking too long because like to script it all out, to script a 20-minute video out takes like actually quite a bit of time to actually do.
It's probably like 4,000 words. It takes a minute.
Like I'm basically writing like a mini college essay each time, right? I'm like, it's like a lot of work. So then I'm like, okay, I'm just going to start doing like, let me just do bullet points now. So like, I'll write the hook. The hook is most important for videos. Yeah. And then I'll write like the back end CTA, and then everything else in between is just going to be bullets. Yep. Right. Just like high level, what's going to be about. So that's what I've been doing now for a year now. Right. And I have way more mess ups for sure. Yeah. But like, they're usually more dense and better videos because like I go more stuff.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I was just thinking that, like, what's really funny? I've been doing it that way for a long time. And I've had plenty of shows where, frankly, I don't know what was with me that day. I was just really struggling to talk. Sure. Yeah. And I had way more edits that I'm friggin' even comfortable admitting. Sure. And the show still came out absolutely amazing. You would never know. But I remember releasing shows just thinking like, man, that was a horrible show. And then the next day, that was an amazing show. Like, great show, Kelly. And it's funny. Like, it's amazing what editing can do. And I would say too, like you said, by using bullet points, it allows you to speak to your expertise. And in a lot of 100%. Ways, you're going to say something better than if you scripted it anyway.
Totally. And on top of that, like, it's just like, if you already know the content, it's totally fine. Yeah. But also, because I'm sure it's the same with you. When you do videos for a while, like you're actually getting better over time. You may not even realize it. Yeah. So like your standard for like that was bad. Like today is very different than what was a year ago. Really, That's right. Yeah. Like even now when I do like with the bullet point video, I'm like, I don't think this is that good. But then once I see the final, I'm like, actually, that's way better than I expected. Actually, you know what? Like, this is still 100x better than my videos from from 2016. It's still a progression. But I think that the best way to get better on videos, you just have to practice it and like be really consistent with it. Like that's really, really key. Oh, I forgot to mention there's some other things I did as well that got me more comfortable on video, which was this was big in my first year of business, which was like every time I got a connection request, I would accept it and then I send a video message. Okay. My phone out. So this got me comfortable like on the fly as well. So it was like these little things that I kept incorporating as part of the video journey to get to a point where now it's like I can riff no problem, on a video really quick. But it took a long time to actually get there, actually just doing the work to actually build the confidence up and then frankly not caring. Because now I'm like, I sound like a dope still, I think. I still sound goofy, I hate my voice. But it is what it is. What am I going to do? Like, this is who I am. I accept this.
Yeah. And you know what? Let's get into that because a big part of your book is really about confidence and authenticity.
That's right. 100%. 100%. Like, I find confidence is like a bank account, right? Everything you do either is a deposit or withdrawal. And every time you commit to yourself and you do the things you know you're supposed to do, you build more confidence over time. Right. And that's just what happens. And if you don't do it, like for example, when I commit doing videos consistently, I'm like, it sucks. But doing it consistently, it started building up my confidence. Right. Yeah. And also on top of that, like when the video is not perfect, there's a level of authenticity and realness that comes with it when it's not like perfectly scripted. Like for instance, like I've done like, I don't want to name the tool, but I tested some AI videos out where it's like, it is me. It looks just like me. It sounds like me. Yeah. Right. But it's like too perfect. Yeah. It's too perfect. So, like it actually didn't convert as well as a super raw one where I had like ums and yas and like pauses. Yeah. That's way more organic. It's just how it is, I think it's also because I think, now we're into like a trust recession, right? People don't really trust people, right? Sure. They see things that are too perfect. They question it. And I think that's why people love TikTok these days because it's far more real and authentic. They feel at least, right? Yeah. So that's why I think it's key to be able to showcase who you are as part of your whole sales process.
Well, I always say, in a time of AI and robots, be human, right? Like that's the
100%.
differentiator these days, guys. Like we're going back. You got to be yourself. That's what people want. People want more authenticity. They want more. They want a real person that they can trust, right? We have this like idea that AI is going to kill everything. And mark my words, it will never kill salespeople and it'll never kill a real relationship. You will never be able to replace it.
I'll tell you what, when I get a handwritten note, I still struggle throwing that away.
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, versus like you get so many emails, you get something that is on, like that handwritten note, you're like, okay, that's it's pretty nice. It's like, because they took the time to do it. There's an emotional feel to it. So you can't go wrong by just being a good human as part of your process.
Totally, totally. And I think that's really important. Like in this time of creating content, we talked a lot about content. But people don't just want to be sold or sent a bunch of marketing content, right? They want something that they can connect with. Right. Can we maybe talk about personalizing content and how you do it, Marcus?
Yeah, 100%. So, I think at the end of the day, when you're creating content, you always want to create with the end user in mind, right? So, like I have this little prompt here on my computer here. So, like when I'm creating content, the first thing I ask myself is, who am I writing to specifically? So I imagine like my person I'm writing to is on the other side of my computer screen. They're going to consume that piece of content. They're going to either read it, they're going to watch it, or whatever they're going to do. They're going to scroll through it. Who is that person specifically? What's on their mind? And that's really, really important because you want to be writing to what's on their mind. And generally speaking, most of the time they have problems, right? And then what I also think about is like, how do I want to make them feel after they consume that piece of content? And I think it's a really important piece. This allows you to create depth to your content. So for example, I have prompts. I'm like, okay, do I want them to feel inspired or motivated? Do I want them to feel enlightened? Do I want them to feel empathy or connection to me? Do I want them to feel challenged? Do I want them to feel joy or comedy? Do I want them to feel curious? And sometimes you'll have multiple of these feelings. But if you begin with that end in mind, what your desired end result is, then you're going to hopefully create a piece of content kind of geared towards that. So for example, like this morning's post was about enlightenment. I want to enlighten people on what to do, when someone gets added to a demo call with new stakeholders. So what to do then? So, it's not designed to be funny. It's not designed to challenge people's mindset. It's not designed to make kids. It's going to be very tactical. Yeah. Like, it's like, this is how you do X. So hopefully they walk away like, oh, I need to be doing these things. Yeah. Right. Versus some other ones where I'm posting about, being married for 14 years, like there's no conversion optimization I'm going for. I'm just going for connection. Yeah. Because sometimes people just, when we post this too much like business stuff, they're like, who is this person? Are they even real?
Who is this person?
Exactly. So you want to be able to humanize it as part of it. So.
Yeah. My gosh. Yeah. Like I'm definitely realizing, like if you just look at engagement on LinkedIn, people are 10 times more likely to engage with personalized, connecting content than they are with your marketing stuff. And so, like, 100%. The reality is, if you're looking to just create a bunch of engagement, you need to stop posting about your job and start posting about you.
100%. Yeah, it makes it much more real, right? This is why, there's so much power in the brand, right? I look at someone like The Rock. Like, he's been building this brand for couple decades now. That's right. So launches a tequila brand, crushes it. Yeah. Right. What's up? The guy Ryan Reynolds, same thing. Right. Been building a brand for years. Rolls up. I think he had Mint Mobile. I think he has a gin as well, aviation gin. Crushes it. Yeah. Right. The Kardashian, hate them or love them, but when they roll a new product line, it crushes. Yeah. Like Oprah has been around for decades now. She mentions someone's product. Crushes. Yeah. Right. So there's an association of that, which is really, really powerful. And, I think most people probably watch it. They probably don't want to be like an Oprah or a Kardashian or whatever, but you can still own your niche and, build a personal brand around it as well and still do a good balance of everything. So for, there's something that I don't share on personal. I don't want to share about that, but like I'll share a lot of personal stuff though. Yeah. Because I know it's going to help break up my content a little bit and be entertaining.
I think that the time is coming, Marcus, where if you don't have a personal brand of some level, you're in trouble. You're in trouble as a business owner, as a coach, whatever you're doing, whatever you want to do, even as an employee, I think on a certain level. Oh, yeah. If you aren't looking after in 2024, I guess this show's coming out early 2025. So this time and beyond, yeah, like if you're not working on personal brand, you need to figure it out. And I know that sucks. I know there's a lot of people who are like, but I just want to go to work, right?
Totally.
But something's changed, man. I don't know what it is, but I can see it and I can feel it.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's, you hate him or love him, but look at Elon Musk, right? Like he's on X, he's posting stuff. He knows how to get attention. Even if it's controversial attention, he knows how to get attention, right? And attention is a new currency. So like, if you're able to gather attention, you're going to be able to get more eyeballs to your stuff. You're going to have more conversations. But like, in reality, this is like, I think what's that saying? No media is bad media.
Yeah.
Like, that's the truth, right? Like, even people that get hated on, suddenly they explode. Like, it goes crazy. So like, it's like now people are searching them. They're Google, like, what's Andrew Tate, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's people love and hate that guy, right? But then people are talking about him now.
Yeah.
And that's what makes him go viral. So he's hacked that.
It's happening, man. There's no hiding from it. Like, the reality is personal branding, and I've had plenty of people on the show now who are saying the same thing. Personal branding is the thing of 2024, 2025. If you're not working on, like, last year, everyone was talking AI. That was the new big thing. Yep. I would say the thing that I've seen, the big trend is personal branding. And, it's, you can start tomorrow. Like, if you haven't started yet, it's okay. But it's time to start thinking about it. And you can start, like you said, with your LinkedIn page, right? Good place to start.
100%. It's like, I think the ease always is like, wherever your audience is, go there first. That makes it much easier.
Yeah.
So if you know they're already on LinkedIn, go LinkedIn. If you know they're on Instagram, go to Instagram. Wherever they are, go to that place first, right? And like, you want to build that muscle, build that habit of doing that. Because if you take a look at like two different people, I mean, I was talking to someone the other day. They're like, hey, we're going to go with you. And I was like, cool, like, what was exactly? And it's kind of fun. They're like, well, I think the offer is actually roughly about the same, what you guys kind of offer. I'm like, okay, that doesn't make me feel good. But they're like, the reason we're going with you is like, I mean, you just like, we Googled you, we found all the stuff about you from other people. Like, you just have you just better online presence. We actually know you're legit. Yeah. So like the risk level, if they had the term risk level, seemed much less with me.
You built trust before that interaction.
100%. So it's definitely a long game. That's where, if people are thinking about posting content, et cetera, it's like, you have to think not just in like, will I get leads today or tomorrow or even this year? Like, you want to be thinking like 5-10 years down the road. Like, we have little clients that come on board almost 5 years later. Yeah. If I say, hey, this one piece of content, that's why I reached out. This is why I was even open to conversation. Like, I've been watching you from afar, and this thing had my personal life and also your timing worked out really well.
Yeah. Dude, you started your company, just under 5 years ago at this point. Yeah. You're talking to a lot of business owners who, or maybe they're not yet business owners. Maybe they're awesome salespeople who are looking to do their own thing. They want to be Marcus Chan. They want to step out on their own. Yeah. But they're afraid, dude. They're afraid to take their future into their control. Incorporating a company and leaving that, high salary job is a real hard choice that you had to make. Yeah. So talk about that decision. Talk about the decision to do your own thing.
So I think the first piece is you have to really decide, like, what are you optimizing for in life? What do you really want in life? I think it's really important. So sometimes I find some people, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but they're running away from something. They're like, I hate my job, I'm going to start my own business. Not necessarily a bad thing. And I think you mentioned that's what you did as well. And it worked out really well for you, right? You're able to keep going. For a lot of people, that doesn't really work out, which is they do it for a while, like, oh my God, we have to learn so many more things that I got to go back, right? I think the first thing, understand, what are you optimizing for? Like, if you're like, oh, I just want to have more free time. Let's be real here. Being a business owner, when we start off, you don't have more free time. I mean, you're working like 80 to 100 hour weeks to avoid working 40 for someone else, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So like, understand what are you optimizing for, but what's your big end goal, okay? So when you know that, it's like, okay, you're going to be more ones to kind of do the hard things, all right? I think the second thing is like, you want to like position yourself ideally where you have freedom of choice. And what I mean by that is I was really fortunate in the sense of that I'm pretty frugal. Like, since I got started in sales, I've always lived below my means. For the most part, almost always lived off my base alone. And the commissions, I invested either into myself or to other investments. So I was really strategic with my money and my capital deployment. So when I decided to make that leap and when I was 35 years old, frankly, I could just not work for 20 years and be totally fine.
Yeah.
So I put myself in a position where I had that freedom of choice. But more importantly, I'm like, if I start this business, if I completely fail, like, are we going to be okay? Or am I going to just go after the worst clients possible, very demanding clients, right? So this put me in a better position. Now, I'm not saying you have to set yourself up where you have like 20 years of burn, right? But you want to put yourself in a position where, let's say, for example, like if you want to give yourself a year to be a great business owner,
Yeah.
at least a year of like cash that's liquid or easy accessible that manages to burn maybe a little extra if you need to. So you don't have as much pressure. So this allows you to make better like decisions, right?
Yeah.
I think that's really, really key. That helped me quite a bit where I've had friends where they try to make that leap. They didn't really do that.
Yeah.
So 6 months later, they're back, looking for a job and whatever, because they got kind of put in a tough spot and, just it wasn't really great. So this allows you to make better decisions. So I think it's really key.
Yeah. I will attest to that. I started Capital with 10 grand. And I went out on my own and like it was really make it or die. And that was enough to like really get a client or two fairly quickly, make sure that I was charging enough that it made sense, that it was going to cover my bills and start to make a small profit. Right. But it was a necessity that kept me alive, dude. And like you, I was dialing until I did it because it was that or fail. And so for me, that worked, but that doesn't work for everybody. I agree completely. You mentioned that I didn't hate my job. I actually hit COVID and my boss pulled me aside. I'd been there for 10 years.
Yeah.
And he said, Kelly, dude, we don't know what the next year looks like. And we're trying to make some hard decisions. And one of those decisions is going to be, if we can bring you on contract, we're going to look at doing that. And so that was what the kickstart was. Luckily, they came on, they gave me, it was not the best contract I've ever had, but a contract that was enough to cover my bills when I got my business going. And they paid me a severance, which was nice. So it was like that boost I needed. But you know what? It was adversity. It was a situation of you sink or swim, Kelly, figure it out. Like you're either going to have to get another job or you're going to start your own thing. And do you really want to work for someone else? And it was, okay, I'm going to do it.
And I would say the third thing is manage expectations for yourself. So like, I think it's like, I'm sure you've seen where you're like, hey, if I'm a really good salesperson, this should be pretty easy actually be a business owner. But then you realize sales is just one small part of what you do.
Yes.
There's so many other hats you have to, think about, from, product creation to offer fulfillment to back-end fulfillment to make sure people, customers are happy, to accounting, to finance, to cash flow, to strategic planning, to content, marketing, sales. There's so many things you have to worry about, right? So it makes it hard.
I don't know about you, but marketing my own company was always harder than marketing somebody else's.
Way harder.
Way harder.
You like think about it differently, you know, versus like you're kind of told like this is how you talk about your company. When it's you make every single decision. The buck stops there, which is it's a blessing and a curse at the same time. So I think some people kind of walk in with the wrong expectation. You're like, oh, it's gonna be amazing, but like I remember the first 2 weeks, like I was working like 80 hours a week in my first couple of weeks, and after my first 2 weeks, my wife's like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, great. I'm like, she's like, what have you been up to? I'm like, I don't know. I had no idea what I did for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I realized I'm like, oh man, like before I had a really clear structure and schedule, all these things, things that just took forever. I had a Outlook calendar, I had tasks, I had all these things were kind of in place already, but I had to recreate from scratch, So it's just like, there's all these things you just don't know. And then I'll say, if you can, like I would like, get like a business coach, like invest in a business coach up front, like before you even get started if you can, because that will help accelerate your learning curve, because you just don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
I mean,
you don't know a lot. Trust me.
You really know like nothing. You're like, oh, how do I file? How do I create a company?
I always say, Marcus, I'm a great business development person. I'm a everyday learning entrepreneur because I'm only 4 years into entrepreneurship and I have so much still to learn, and I learn something new every day. I learn something new in every one of these interviews, dude. Like entrepreneurship is a completely different monster.
Dude, it's totally different. And that's where it's like, when I see people post like, it's easy breaking into solopreneurship when you're a rep. I'm like, not necessarily. I mean, there's some things that are good, but like, let's just say, for example, if you work for a big company and you're used to a big logo backing you up.
Yep.
And now you start your own company and nonamebrand.com. It's different. It's like, it's a wildly different situation, And then, I would say if you can start a side hustle first. Right? Like Now, I always say, don't start a side hustle at the cost of you not being able to perform. Like that means you need to be able to consistently perform if you're a salesperson. Because reality is like, if you can't perform, if you can't sell for someone else, it's gonna be pretty hard to sell for yourself.
That's right.
That's just reality. So your sales is going to follow you everywhere. So if you're consistently performing and then building up a side hustle to even test out and build a little bit of an audience up, can be a huge gift. Like, I have buddies who did a great job building a huge audience before they even went into their own business.
Yeah.
And that paid them massive dividends.
That's right.
Versus the ones who did not do it. Like, I didn't really do that myself. And it was more of an uphill battle. So I'm like pushing a giant rock up the hill versus like some of them feel like they're just kind of like, oh, it's so easy. I'm like, oh man, that was not the same way for me. It was super hard. So
yeah. Like I agree completely. It's like, like you said, give away 90%, charge 10. Like the reality is, if you want to make an impact and you want to make a difference in the world, that's the approach you have to take.
That's it. 100%. 100%.
Well, take us into Venli, right? Like obviously you're helping other business development people, sales people, marketing people, business owners, like you're coaching. Talk about Venli. What are all the services you do?
So I love it. So there's two parts of the business. So we have the individual side, then we have the team side. So the individual side's like, most of them are a lot of tech sales professionals, tech AEs, they're coming in and we have a coaching program for them. So we're just helping them absolutely crush their numbers and actually blow their numbers out. So a lot of them just need a lot of help across the board, from filling the pipeline to shortening the sales cycle, closing deals, stuff like that. So that's that part of the business, which is a lot of fun. And then on the other side is a B2B side, which is working with teams and companies and basically doing the same thing at scale. So if they have 8 reps, 10 reps, 100 reps, different programs for them because they just need something a little bit different, that's much more customized as a result. But we're helping their teams just absolutely crush it too on both sides of the business. But it's a lot of fun on the way. Basically, if you need help crushing your numbers, I'm the guy.
Amazing. And Marcus, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you if they want to hire you?
Super simple. You either head to venliconsulting.com or message me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty easy to find.
Awesome. And guys, like, the reality is I connected with Marcus on LinkedIn before I read his book, but I did read his book. It is 6-Figure Sales Secrets. You do not want to miss this. This is awesome. If you have any type of sales, if you're a business owner and you have to sell for yourself, if you're a sales rep, a business development specialist, whatever it is, trust me, pick up the book. It's amazing. And I agree with everything Marcus wrote. Actually, I can't say that for a lot of books, but dude, everything you wrote is exactly what I would recommend and promote. It's an amazing book.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And people can get your book where, Marcus?
So if you head to venli.co/book, they can get a copy there.
Perfect. Until next time, this has been episode 204 of the Business Development Podcast, and we will catch you on the flip side.
This has been the Business Development Podcast with Kelly Kennedy. Kelly has 15 years in sales and business development experience within the Alberta oil and gas industry and founded his own business development firm in 2020. His passion and his specialization is in customer relationship generation and business development. The show is brought to you by Capital Business Development, your business development specialists. For more, we invite you to the website at www.capitalbd.ca. See you next time on the Business Development Podcast.
Rock stars, let's dive into something game-changing. Hypervac Technologies, leaders in air duct cleaning innovation. Did you know that they started as a small family-run cleaning business in southern Alberta back in the 1980s? That's right. They've walked in your shoes and understand exactly what you need to succeed. Hypervac has taken that hands-on experience and turned it into powerhouse solutions like the Revolution 360 vacuum and the cutting-edge Cobra View camera system. These tools aren't just designed to clean. They're here to redefine efficiency, helping you tackle more jobs with less hassle. Here's what sets them apart. Their top-selling non-PTO air duct truck has become the gold standard in North America. Add to that immediate worldwide shipping, overnight freight to Canada and the USA, and every product being built right here in North America. Well, you've got a partner who's invested in your success. But let's talk impact. Hypervac's mission is bigger than just cleaning ducts. It's about making every breath count because, as they say, your ducts are your lungs. With over 40 years of industry excellence, they're the trusted choice for professionals around the globe. So whether you're looking to upgrade your equipment or start the next big chapter in your business, HyperVac has your back. Head over to www.hypervac.com to see how they're helping pros like you take the industry by storm.